Hey, greetings everyone, and welcome to episode 43 of Lines on the Page. I am your host, Thomas Price, and thank you guys so much for, just taking time out of your Sunday night to watch me do something a little bit different, a little bit more relaxed, and yeah, yeah. So, uh, moving right along, before I continue into wherever it is I'm going to be going, I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping first. Hibbett Comics, located 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama. And please remember to like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow, share, comments. Um, all that stuff does help. We're not just saying it just to say it. It actually does direct traffic towards anything that we happen to do with either Shop Talk, Alan's Polish reviews, and also this particular drawing show as well. And if you want to figure out where you can find me on social media, you just go through my link tree, or you can just type in at tpriceartworks in any social media network, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to find me. Before I continue on, I wanted to do two things real quick. And the first one is that I wanted to give a shout out to Reed for sending me this French comic, Always Never by, I'm probably going to butcher the writer and artist's name, Jordi Lefebvre. Hoping that's right. Uh, anyways, I didn't really have a lot of time to sit down and read this, but I did read the first two chapters. Did not realize that it was working in reverse as far as just the timeline is concerned between the chapters. Um, but it is a rom-com of sorts, slice of life, which is not the typical thing that I read, but the artwork is fantastic. It's got this somewhere between like 60s Disney with like modern Pixar kind of feel to it, I think. Um, there's just a lot of charm to it. And like I said, it is a French comic, and it's also being produced through Dark Horse. So uh, leave it up to Dark Horse for starting to put out more new things. I mean, technically, they were basically the number one independent company that was pushing English translated manga um, during the 90s. Of course, there was also CPM and um, Studio Proteus, which was technically a sub company of Dark Horse, but get into semantics later. But yeah, thank you, Reed. This was actually kind of funny because he sent me a text. What day was that? It was yesterday. Sent me a text and basically said, "Did you get the package?" Which I have no idea what he's talking about, and I'm trying to figure out, did I order something off of Amazon that I didn't realize? I'm just checking things, and of course, the front door where I was sitting was right behind me, and of course, I turn around and I see a box. So it was a super Alfred Hitchcock kind of moment. I wasn't really sure what was going on when I opened it up. It was an early Christmas present. So, uh, going to be uh, definitely reading this within the next day or two. And it's only 150 pages, so it's not bad. I also do recommend, if you want to try to get into French comics, please start off with either Azrak by Mobius or Black Sad. Um, Speaking of other things, looks like there's some people in the comments already. James, hello. Speaking of Christmas presents, I think I've already messaged you about that. Yours is in your box. Um, but considering that we are doing a stream regarding original arts, if you guys did not see my status on Facebook, apparently Saturday afternoon, my laptop decided it wanted to do an update, which I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just upload the 15-page finale of Requiem and Reverie, and apparently after the update was done, all of those files were gone. Um, there were a couple other things that I had done specifically for Patreon. Um, and apparently, one of those things is missing too. Everything else that I've done is still in my external hard drives and whatnot. So no idea what's going on. Nothing is damaged. Nothing is corrupted. Um, it was just a weird fluke. So um, the only way around it is, I think, from now on, I'm probably just going to double copy files and send it to other places so that in case something like this ever happens again, I hope not, but I can at least be able to count on other places to pick things out and post them. Yes. All right. Awesome. So, with today's original art stream, as you can obviously tell, I am using a 11 by 17 Eon artboard, and which I need to buy some more now that I'm thinking about it. More Christmas things for me to buy. But I wanted to do something a little bit laid back, and I had technically had been thinking about this off and on all year in terms of doing a Christmas holiday print. Yes, I know Thanksgiving hasn't happened yet, but I usually work anywhere between a month to 5 months in advance with things I want to do. Unfortunately, this year I haven't been able to do that a lot, uh, simply because life. So, this is going to be a Christmas themed print. I just wanted to focus on the pencils and do that. Now, it's very faint. I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the drawing cam, but I did do a bit of a grid because I didn't want to take up the entirety of the 11 by 17 just in case I need to resize accordingly, or if I wanted to put some sort of text that can do that in post. Um, but considering that the measurements of the artboard is 11 by 17, scaled everything down so it's 10 inches across and 14 and a half inches tall. And of course, found the median. So I've marked it off with an X, the top and the bottom, and line straight through. The reason being is that I am wanting to do some sort of parody, tribute, if you will, of this particular painting that I have always loved. Norman Rockwell's triple self portrait. What I'm wanting to do is have Santa Claus uh, basically trying to do a self portrait of himself. And instead of him, I guess, how you see him, he's basically painting if not the whole body, then definitely the face or whatever. A little bit more muscular, suave. Uh, what's the terminology? Silver fox. So that's that's what I'm planning to do with this. So I am, if you happen to hear any clicking going back and forth, more likely it is me going back and forth between this reference to see if I can possibly get this done. I do, however, want to make a bit of an apology to you guys regarding last week's stream whenever I was drawing Mark Grayson. On top of the fact that I uh, was literally running on fumes because we did that 24-hour thing at the shop last weekend. Sorry, not last weekend, the weekend before. Literally slept all of Saturday, and at the time period that I was drawing it, I think in my mind I was just so focused on trying to challenge myself by using so few um, you know, pens and markers, brushes, whatever. I was just so focused on doing that instead of just using the tools that I have right in front of me and just do what I felt was comfortable. So it was all right. It was good, but it could have been better. And I don't like having that feeling of, I really probably shouldn't have done that. So I'm actually going to be doing a makeup uh, sketch of that, and that's going to be the one that's going to be in the shop. So all that being said, let's get on to it with the board. And if you guys happen to have any questions about any particular things that I'm trying to do, um, if at any point you're wondering, um, what's in my pull list or my favorite Christmas presents or what have you, please just drop them down in the chat. Let's hang out. Let's have fun. But like I said earlier, I'm going to be focusing on just pencils because I just want to try to get it, if not the main basis down, to definitely as tight enough of the pencils as I possibly can with the time given. So I'm hoping that the drawing cam does not die on me. So this is going to be interesting, partly because I have never done this before, considering that this is going to be a bit of a tribute parody thing. Two, I think the last time I've ever drawn Santa Claus, I was probably middle school, uh, when I was a wee young chap. And three, I'm having to deal with the fact of I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping myself in a more enclosed space and that it's right here and what I'm going to be keeping and omitting from the reference. And of course, changing things on the way. So let's try to get to it. So first things first, we are going to put a big man in a hopefully not tiny jacket. Now I did pull up a couple pictures of Santa Claus from old Coca-Cola ads, and I think I've got a Norman Rockwell one as well. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure was that when we're building the shapes, characters, um, one thing that kind of gets missing, if not slightly omitted, is the direction of the spine. Because when we're growing up as kids and we're starting to learn how to draw, um, you know, stick figures or whatever, even something like super cartoony, that ends up looking like a character from Garfield or Foxtrot or whatever. We're so used to having people completely upright, so it's almost like the spine is just completely straight. In reality, the spine is more of an S, and we don't really think about those things until we really start to understand the basic building blocks of just anatomy and understanding how people's um bodies are built. And sometimes when we're dealing with, like, on the more cartoony side of things, the exaggerations that we can do. Because if anyone here has seen the recent, or sorry, well, I mean, yeah, I guess it's somewhat recent. The first Spider-Verse film, and you look at Kingpin, or even Gru from Despicable Me, completely exaggerated body shapes, but you can understand that, when you're looking at the character, they're not exactly standing up straight. They're more hunched over, and the anatomy is just kind of like all over the place. But it works and it makes sense given that's just how these characters are being shown. But in the case of Jolly Red Elf, it'll be a little bit different than that. Have him sitting down. And I know this looks super loose and sketchy, and that is very much the point, because I want to, not really so much capturing capturing the vibe. Uh, it's not really so much that. It's more so along the lines of getting the idea down, and then from the idea we start to fine tune stuff while trying to make sure that we don't eliminate uh, the basis of the idea. I think the boots are going to be. Yeah, that sounds about right. Bill, hi. Did I read G.I. Joe 301? No, I have not. And part of that is because I also haven't read G.I. Joe 300. um, I wish I could talk about that with you guys so badly, but I can't. Now I did see a few pages from 301. I definitely enjoyed what I saw, but as far as just the current plot or anything like that, I'm not going to be very talkative when it comes to specifically that or those two issues. The only thing that I remember from Josh and Ellen talking about 300 was that it ended on a cliffhanger because they were on a airplane of some sort that was on fire, or they were about to make a crash landing on an island, I believe, and then that was the cliffhanger. So if there's anything that I don't have correct about that, please let me know. Um, but I will say this though. Yes, I did read um, obviously Transformers number two, uh, Big Game, uh, the massive finale that was issue number five. Absolutely fantastic. Um, my biggest question when it got to about maybe issue four was just the whole time travel scenario, which this is the second time that I have read something that Mark Millar has put out regarding time travel, and um, it was definitely written smart. Um, the first one being was book four of the Magic Order, uh, which even though yes, he still releases them as individual issues. The Magic Order is just one of those stories where you just have to sit down and read it in one sitting. And I definitely, you could go either way with Big Game. Now, you will get like the whole brunt of the experience if you read it from start to finish. Which, if you have not read, um, at least what I would consider the major storylines and their interconnectedness, um, definitely read Kick Ass, the first one. Huck, Nightclub, Wanted. That's a pretty obvious one. Um, Magic Order, obviously. At least, definitely at least the first two. Um, you could read three or four, but it really has no um, full bearing to the current plot of where they are right now. Nemesis, obviously, the ambassadors, definitely. Um, what else was there? Empress, most definitely. Which I'm hoping that he continues on with the second run of Empress, because that also was left on a cliffhanger. The Chrononauts, Space Bandits, Kingsman. Um, well, actually, I think it was actually called the Secret Service, but we know it as Kingsman from the movie. Um, there's a couple of other minor stuff like Jupiter's Legacy and um, forgot what that one book was that Greg Capullo did art for. Um, but yeah, there's a few other things, and they're kind of like Super Crooks. That was the other one I was thinking of. And I mean, they're those characters do show up, but they're like extremely minor in their stuff. Oh, Prodigy. That was another one. Um, but yeah, it was fantastically done. Pepe Larraz, who did it was either House of X or Powers of X. I forgot which one he did. And of course, he's also done Avengers for several issues. I know he's done a few post Hoxpox related X-Men issues. Just fantastic artist. Every time I read anything that he has drawn, it is an education. Um, it's definitely one of those moments where what you think is traditional is really digital. And seeing how he does line work to the final product, it's absolutely breathtaking. Um, he's definitely one of these guys that are a part of that camp where they were. You can obviously tell they've all been influenced by Stuart Eminem. Um, So, him, Olivia Copiel, which there's a little bit of him and Jerome Opeña are both definitely influenced by Eminem as much as they are Lionel Yu and Travis Charest. But um, those guys, Mahmoud Asrar, and there's one other artist. I mean, just all those guys, or from starters, they're all European, and they all come at it with a completely different angle than a lot of the American artists do as of now. Because sometimes they're coming at it from like a mixed medium perspective. Some of them have obviously grown up, you know, because they're in Europe. They've obviously read a lot of the comics that have came out of France and Spain, and even some of the Argentinian stuff, um, which you wouldn't, I guess, think from the top of one's head that Argentina being a hotbed for comics, but apparently it has a pretty rich history of some sorts. In fact, there's a animation called, I think it's called Cyber Six. I want to say it was on Fox back in the 90s, and I don't even remember watching it. I just know that it existed, and that you can obviously watch it on Prime. But um, yeah, big game, definitely, definitely something that's worth reading, especially if you are older. Um, it's definitely not for little kids. So I don't want to hear any complaints that you let uh, little Jimmy and little Sally to be reading any of that. Oh, well, with the exception of Empress, that I can definitely vouch that Empress is a very PG 13 uh, book. So, um, if your kid's in middle school, then Empress is definitely something that they can read. Um, the hardest part right now is just trying to figure out exactly how I want to do the shape of Santa Claus's skull or face for that matter. I mean, it's obviously got to be on the bigger side, and obviously hair is going to be receding just a bit. I need to change that part of the boots. Oh no, now I got that really dumb song stuck in my head now. Um, Low. So start talking about boots, and now I'm thinking about the boots with the fur. So, which I say stupid song, but there were some interesting covers from that time period. Some good, some absolutely cringe worthy, but that is that. Uh, Before I forget, which I think I've talked about this on social media, um, which I think I've actually talked about this at least the beginning of the, I think it's about 2 or 3 episodes ago when I was showing off the interior panels of Lilywood. Um, that's been uh, sent off to an editor. She has definitely enjoyed it, and last I remember, as far as just talking about whatever, she was in the process of moving, which she's officially moved now, and at some point, um, we'll be getting together with Reed to fix little spots here and there within the dialogue or the script before she sends it off to um, Scout to possibly get pitched. So it's all in the process steps, the patient waiting game. So it's definitely one of those things where if it gets picked up, great, fantastic. Um, I know Ree would be excited about that because that means he gets more Lovecraftian monsters out of me. Um, and of course, he and I were talking about uh, movie posters and EC comics, EC, not DC. We were talking about one or two of the covers from that time period that I've always enjoyed, and I told him just like, this would be interesting to do a little nod to that. You know, if not for that, then definitely for another project. I am not, uh, I guess, I am not picky as far as which one it just happens to work. I did get in contact with um, one or two people to come to the show starting next year as guests, um, just because I want you guys to, you know, obviously have some more artists online on the page, both local and not local, and also wanted to get some writers in here as well. And you're probably wondering why. Well, I'm glad you asked. Um, Part of that is if you're going to be doing any sort of like collaboration process, um, it's nice to see how other writers approach uh, their process, how they put together scripts, uh, figuring out who they feel like is going to be the right artist for that particular project. And of course, everyone has their own individual picks for who they want to collaborate with. Sometimes it just ends up working out fantastic. Other times, not so much. Uh, but definitely wanted to uh, have that for you guys to look forward to next year. If I'm able to get uh, who I would like to be part of that, and I guess have some new stuff you guys can look forward to instead of just having to hear me drone. At some point in the future, obviously, we'll more likely have Reed back on the show for something else entirely. And make sure I got okay. So I've got to change the angle of the boot. Now, obviously, as you can tell, I am winging the dimensions of the stool. I'll be going back with a ruler. I would rather do that than have it be completely lopsided. In fact, if I'm looking at this correctly, okay, that's actually a little bit deceiving. For a moment, I thought in the reference, it almost looks like um, he's kind of like leaning the stool back, so like the front two legs are almost a bit off of the ground, and that's not it. Eyes playing tricks. but yeah, so there will be one or two writers for episodes for next year. Definitely going to be a few more different artists for next year if everything goes well, with planning and conventions, not just on their end but also on my end as well. And there's also going to be a few other things planned for next year as well, project wise. And I'm trying to decide which one is going to be first. Um, either sketchbook is going to happen first or a one-shot comic is going to be happening first as far as Kickstarter is concerned. Right. And since I'm thinking about um, the brush that he has in his hand, there was friend of mine on Instagram that had posted this D&D alignment when it comes to how you hold a pencil, and with the way that I hold it, it was considered true neutral. um, but there was one where you've got people holding the pencil like this, and that was chaotic evil. This was lawful good, and there was a few others. I wish I had saved that picture, but it definitely cracked me up, because I've seen how some people hold uh, their pens and pencils whenever they write, whenever they um, are drawing, and sometimes, I just never really think about it, and then other times I'm just like, what is wrong? Um, it's kind of got that are they even human kind of question that just kind of pops up in your head whenever you see it. right, so that is there, and also winging the size of the easel that he's working with. It's a bit more up and down. So I think I am going to be using a ruler or use this. Since I've already got the median line right here, I can just go ahead and drop this in. About right there. And about right here. It should be right, but just to make sure, I'm probably going to have to get up for this part. I have a T-square, which is this ginormous contraption. And I just want to make sure, let's try to, this is a little bit more, I don't want to say accurate, but sort of accurate. Have that be here, and then bring this out to about here. Good. All right, where is my, there it is. There are a couple books in my pull list that I haven't gotten to just yet. Um, one of them is the most recent, uh, the most recent issue of Void Rivals, Wonder Woman #2, which I've already known about her suplexing a tank with another tank. So I've already known about that. Freaking amazing. Tom King, man. Um, let's see what else. Still need to read issue 4 of Conan. Um, what else do I have on my pull list? Oh, Rocketeer, a bit behind with that. Same thing with Wildcats, and what else? I think that's it. Did get a bunch of sketch covers as well, so I'll probably implement those at some point of time. One of them being Dracula, and 41 asks, no, I haven't read it. Um, and there is a twofold answer to the only reason as to why I haven't read it. Uh, Me personally, my favorite Dracula story in comic book form is the Mike Mignola one, which is technically a um, the what is it, the Francis Ford Coppola film from the 90s. It's just a comic book version of it, but done obviously by Mike Mignola. Um, that to me is great. Um, and of course, obviously, it's his trademark style that he's honed over the decades. You see it on Hellboy, you see it on um, the covers that he did for Lord Baltimore. Uh, the one comic that, or the couple of issues that I know that he's done of X Force, I wanted to try to track down. Um, 'Cause it's one of those like things that you don't really put two and two together, but it actually sounds interesting. Um, which I had that conversation with someone, just like he never did that. I'm like, oh yeah, he definitely did. The issue was is that it wasn't Mike, Mignola's style is exactly that, and it wasn't another, uh, you know, Liefeld clone or Liefeld himself, and um, yeah, people being naysayers about it, and so I forgot who it was that took over X Force after Mignola did those few issues, which he did a fantastic one-shot story of Wolverine: The Savage Land, and I think it was Walt Simonson that wrote that. Could be wrong. But it was a great story. Definitely had an interesting mood and vibe to it. I'll have this at an angle, and might have to bring this out just a bit. Or better yet, I can just cut this down a bit more. Seems like a solid idea to me. Right, so supposedly the chair is going to be that's back behind the easel is going to be a bit at an angle. And probably not so close to the knee. It's also not working. I knew at some point I was going to get stumped. Those of you who happen to have your bingo card on you can mark this down. Almost got stumped. Okay, so a little bit better. Uh, mm. Laura, hey, haven't heard from you in a long time. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a good Thanksgiving too. Come hell or high water, I will get this figured out. So if Conan the Barbarian was here, it'd be like, by Crom, I will smite this parchment. Okay, I think that's a lot better. Stop here. Uh, here. Guess the meeting. Would agree. And we're going to have which, of course, in the actual reference, you've got, um, I can't tell if that's supposed to be a glass of iced tea or Coke, or maybe it could be a beer. Um, but there's a glass of something right there. Is Christmas related? This is going to be a glass of milk and a plate of cookies. Miss Claus is nice like that. So, right, and he is seeing himself. Right, nose is there. Eyebrows, eyes. Now, because he's looking at himself, and if you go back to the reference, I'll pull that up real quick. You see right here, you're looking at Rockwell's mirror reflection. The Trying to think of the best way to describe it. There's almost an equal distance between uh, where he's looking and where the reflection is, so it's not much of like a warp or anything like that with the mirror. So with this, I'm going to try uh, to have it almost an equal distance thing between old Chris and um, where he's sitting in the reflection. One of the hardest things for me is figuring out what to keep and what to omit when it comes to uh, characters with um, light colored facial hair, especially uh, elderly looking characters. Gosh, elderly, senior citizen could also work. Someone who is prematurely grayed, sure, but you get the idea. Um, I've also never really spent a lot of time doing, the big button nose. One of the things that I've actually have put down on my uh, wish list of things to focus on for next year. It's a lot more exaggerated body types and characters. And the reason I'm saying that is when I was working on Requiem Reverie, I was messing around a lot with facial expressions in some of the scenes, so it wasn't everyone, you know, doing the typical emotions that you see in comic art. Um, so one of the things I'm going to be working on is a lot more exaggerated body types, facial expressions. I actually talked about this a little bit on my Patreon. I think it was last month that I was writing about this. Um, that there were a couple things that I wanted to look forward to and do and focus on. Figured that that and a few other things would be perfect. I would rather learn than come off as this de facto person that thinks that they know everything. I am not that person. To scoot the nose over just a millimeter. Awesome. I will say that because of Requiem Reverie, it has sparked and reunited my love for um, world building yet again. So there's going to be some new comic stuff, which I'm hoping to do if all goes well for next year. Kickstart something that's in the sci-fi realm. I'm using the term loosely. Now, something that I have learned from reading a lot of Naoki Urasawa, who, by the way, if you don't know who he is, as the name can obviously suggest, he is Japanese. I do not know if he actually knows how to speak English or not, um, but uh, very eloquent person, very knowledgeable person. From a lot of the interviews that I've seen, he's definitely not a person that shies away from interviews. Uh, he is possibly one of my favorite um, recent uh, favorites of manga artists. Which, if you've never read 20th Century Boys, Monster, or Pluto, I highly recommend for sure. Which, by the way, both Monster and Pluto are on Netflix right now, so you can watch those. Apparently, Pluto, even though the story was done years ago, it's finally has a manga adaptation, but it's set in the world of Astro Boy. So it is a collaborative process between Urasawa and Osamu Tezuka, who is basically, in some ways, the godfather of manga and even anime. Um, which a lot of people like to give that title to um, Hayao Miyazaki, and I would say Miyazaki is more like the Walt Disney of the anime world, whereas Tezuka is more so the guy who popularized it and also created all of the subgenres and genres that we now know existing today in manga. So that's everything from shonen to shoujo to seinen to battle manga, the beginnings of what we could be considering now as cyberpunk. Even though Shiro Masamune and Kazushima Otomo are most so the real progenitors of that subgenre. Uh, Tezuka, with his beginnings of Astro Boy, you can see those beginning seeds happening, even though it is technically a sci-fi. Cyberpunk is still technically a subgenre of sci-fi. So, but Urasawa, he has this uncanny ability to put just enough lines on a person's face that you can tell that they are, or at least in your mind, you can tell that this person uh, is, if not in their 30s or 40s or uh, 70. He just has this knack of being able to just draw age in a way that it's one of those things where it's just like, I feel so dumb. Like, I could be doing this. um, and it's definitely something that I want to start doing more. And of course, perfect example, I'm going to pull this out. I'm not really spoiling anything with you guys regarding this story, but like, look at Lefebvre's detailing the face. Even though it looks, you can obviously tell that she's, probably in her 40s. This woman, I believe these characters, when it starts off, they're definitely retiring age. So definitely late 60s, early 70s at best. But see, you can, you know, the wrinkles of the face, the crow lines, the bags. I mean, just everything is there in its place that you can obviously tell, the age. Not even if this wasn't colored, you could still tell. And that's something that I definitely want to really work on um, as far as next year is concerned. And hopefully, I can uh, impart my knowledge and what I found has worked for me to you guys. So, but I do recommend um, picking up something that Urasawa has done. But which I will say, if you like Alfred Hitchcock movies, you'll definitely like Monster. Um, if you like something that's not a psychological thriller, but something that's more along the lines of, uh, I guess, tipping its way into sci-fi and with a little bit of mystery added into it, definitely check out 20th Century Boys. It does skip between two different timelines, just so you can see how everything connects before the big finale. Um, and if you really want to just focus on just a really great sci-fi story, definitely check out Pluto, um, which I definitely will be watching that uh, on Netflix, hopefully soon. I know that the Scott Pilgrim uh, anime is out, if you really want to call it that. But um, saw that it's out, and I was also kind of surprised that it ended up with a TVMA rating. And it was partly because of the scene, which if you've watched the movie that came out in 2010 with Michael Cena, the scene where Julie is working as a barista in that Starbucks and they bleep out everything that you can tell that she's obviously cussing uh, Scott out, but they're bleeping it out. In the live action movie, they were able to do it in just a way because I mean it's like this in the comic. It's done in just a way that it's obviously humor and it still existed within the PG-13 rating. But when they did it for this animated adaptation, somehow the ratings of it has changed and it's basically now given a TVMA rating, and it's just a bit mind-boggling that it's at that. But I am not the person in charge of the rating systems for stuff. Right. And it being, we'll see, Nick, that, and I think what I will do when it comes time to the inking is that there's going to be a little bit of um, there's going to be sections within uh, the velvet fur collar thing and the beard that is just going to kind of melt itself into it, but I will put enough to where you can obviously tell that this is the where the collar is and texture of the beard, so should be able to tell the difference between the two. So I have no idea what you guys have planned for Thanksgiving, if you guys are doing Thanksgiving. I know that I'll be heading out to Georgia and spending time with family and having some smoked turkey and barbecue. And after I get done with that, I'll be waddling back to my car, just get back over here because I'll be driving out to Georgia. All right, so top of the easel in the original um, reference, there's like a random helmet at the very top. Um, I'm looking at this correctly. Yeah, okay. So I know that in the original thing you've got some photos, sketches, and stuff like that over here. Whatever. I'm going to put Santa's cap or hat, toboggan thing that covers his head uh, right here. That would be an apt place to put it. Which I do realize that I am kind of going over this border that I've marked off, but the reason that I did mark this off was just for the fact of if I can at least get the main picture within this area, that's perfectly fine with me. Um, that's not going to hinder whenever I'm going to be resizing and coloring this in post. Uh, Also thinking about Christmas. Um, I have no idea what I can consider as one of my favorite Christmas movies. Um, I will fight anyone, both verbally and physically. Die Hard and Die Hard 2 are technically Christmas films because they are set during Christmas time. Uh, but they are not my favorite Christmas movies, but they are ones that I will definitely watch during the Christmas season. Um, I do like The Holiday. Um, that's definitely a fun one. And I used to like Santa Claus, but I've watched it so much over the decades that I just can't really sit and watch it anymore. Um, it's just one movie. I'm stumped. I can't think of what it is, but it's definitely like a feel good Christmas movie. Just can't think of what it is. Er, it would have been nice if Iron Will was set in um, during the Christmas season, but it's not. It's actually set. Where's my water bottle? There it is. I mean, it is, you know, obviously snowy throughout the entire movie, but it's not set during the Christmas time. Even though Beauty and the Beast, the animated one, even though it was released during the Christmas time of the 90s, technically not a Christmas movie. Same thing goes for all the Lord of the Rings films and the Hobbit films and uh, the first Narnia film. All of them released during the Christmas week, but not technically Christmas films. Uh, really have to scratch my head on this one. Will probably come to me at like 3 a.m. Well, all right. Okay, so we have Saint Nick, Saint Nick's reflection, and now Charles Atlas looking Saint Nick. This is going to be interesting. And I think I will have at least this background part sketched in, and then after I get that done, we'll probably call it a night. Um, but let me get this in, and we'll make it work, make it happen. Did, however, get pretty good chuckle out of the this one ad that I saw. I think it was Chase, the bank, but this John Travolta dressed up as this really, you know, obviously he's supposed to be Santa Claus, but he's just like this really super slick and suave, thing. And of course, at the very end, he's doing all of the dance routine that he did for Saturday Night Fever in this get up, and that actually, to me, I actually did find that really funny. Um, I haven't been too impressed with some of the movies he's been in as of late. This kind of was Pierce Brosnan, Pierce Brosnan, Guy Fawkes kind of look. Oh man. Or, who knows? He might have actually been this debonair in his youth. Ooh, yeah, that's right. He is holding Weasel in his hand. Or, sorry, um, that should be the terminology of it. All right. I think this will be a decently good stopping point as to where we are right now. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Yes. Yes. I don't know how I blanked on it. I think the reason I might be blanking on that one was because I was thinking about Uncle Buck, and I knew that wasn't it, um, which is also a fantastic film. Cool Runnings, also equally fantastic film. God, John Candy, absolute legends, sorely missed. Um, yeah, so I think this would be a really good stopping point for tonight. As you can obviously tell, even though yes, it is a rough sketch, everything is technically laid out as far as just the main idea points of putting it across. Like I said, this is going to be a print for next month. If everything goes accordingly to plan and I get the final product in my hands at a very decent time through Comics Wellspring, uh, this will be here as far as just like a mini print is concerned. These will be available at Haven Comics as well as some of these will be sent out to immediate friends and family uh, as a holiday card of sorts. And yeah, I'm enjoying this. I really do. I actually enjoyed the stream a lot more than last week's, partly because I'm actually a lot more awake and responsive. um, but all that said and considered, thank you guys again for coming out to this one. For those of you who just happen to be chiming in, thank you so much for commenting. And as far as shows for next month, um, because it's also the holiday season continuing, I should say, with both Christmas and New Year stuff humming along, hoping to at least put out two more episodes for next month, as well as having this holiday print available for the month of December, which I will be posting about that uh, on all places, all gears firing. However, this will probably only available locally. I don't think I'll be able to ship this one out as much as I would like to. I just know that when it comes to shipping stuff out during the month of December, it's a nightmare. Because you don't always get the stuff at the time that you wanted to, and I've been through that battle before. So, uh, all that being said, thank you guys so much for coming out for this episode. We might be going back to something on a slightly smaller scale, or possibly fan art, or we could be continuing original art. Don't know yet, but I will soon. Um, just cap off tonight with our typical housekeeping stuff. Haven Comics, located 1871 Slaughter Road, Suite F in Madison, Alabama, which our store hours are between Wednesday through Sunday. Typically are open between 12 to 6 on all those days, with the exception of Sunday, 12 to 5. Now, if you would actually like to get comics like this, or manga, or your traditional big two stuff, you can find it here. Contact us, and we will try to hook you up. And please remember to like and subscribe, not just this video, but almost anything that we happen to put out, including comics that and events that we'll be having further down the line for the month of December going into the New Year's. So keep a lookout. Click that notification bell so you can know whenever we're going to be putting some stuff on sale that you would definitely want to get. And if you want to figure out where you can find me on social media, you can like and follow at linktree.com/tpriceartworks, or you can type in at tpriceartworks on any social media platform. 9 times out of 10, I'll probably be there. And you can also share my link as well. That also helps. And I also happen to have a Patreon, which I'll be putting rewards for this month within the next couple of days. Thank you guys again, and I will see you next time. Bye.